Hello! So today I'm going to talk about All the Little Bird Hearts by Viktoria Lloyd Barlow. Apologies everybody, because I did in fact lie to you on my last review. Scandal, scandal. I said that If I Survive You was my 10th read from the Booker long list, but that was of course a lie. It was my 9th read from the Booker long list, so I do apologise. What an idiot I am. I can't even count. So this book, All the Little Bird Hearts by Viktoria Lloyd Barlow, is my 10th read from the Booker long list. It's Booker season! Baby! I really am running out of ways to do that. The themes of this book are family, parental love, relationships, friendships, manipulation, and exploration of norms. What is normal? So what's this book about? Sunday Forrester, our protagonist, lives with her 16-year-old daughter Dolly in the house she grew up in. Sunday is autistic and she does things a little bit more carefully than most people. Sometimes Sunday can only eat white food and she relies heavily on a social etiquette handbook in order to navigate tricky social situations. She's also obsessed and enthralled by Sicilian folklore, which does a good job of foreshadowing for this novel. The one thing very much out of Sunday's control is her daughter Dolly. Dolly is extremely clever and very headstrong and is on the cusp of leaving home. And then stepping in to disrupt the status quo, we have Vita and Rollo, a couple who move in next door. Is it Rollo or Rollo? Let me know. Rollo? 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 Rollo feels wrong. Rollo? I don't know. I'm going to go Rollo because I think Rollo is more fitting for the class of the character. My name's Rollo. But anyway, Rollo and Vita immediately disarm Sunday with their charm and proceed to break pretty much every rule in Sunday's etiquette handbook. Very quickly, they are in and out of each other's lives constantly, and Sunday feels accepted like never before. But beneath Vita and Rollo's friendship is something else, something a little bit darker. Because Sunday has something that Vita has always wanted for herself, a daughter of her own. So there you go, that's the kind of plot, that's the blurb for this novel. It is another very introspective book from the Booker long list. Told in the first person, we are firmly in Sunday's head as this novel slowly builds. This novel is firmly making sure we are inside Sunday's head. We are connected deeply to Sunday. We understand the way she sees the world before the plot, which is very evident from the blurb, kicks in. So what did I like and what didn't I like? What I liked. I think Viktoria Lloyd Barlow does a fantastic job of getting us into Sunday's head. The balance between the mundane, mixed in with snippets of her past, and then combined with sections from her handbook, all balance so beautifully well towards this kind of build and connection we have with Sunday. It is a very slow build. It is very plodding. It is very simple, but that connection is so needed for what comes later in this novel. And it did totally draw me in. I really enjoyed the tension and the frustration in this one, especially in the second half of this book. Oh, I really felt it. I mean, I really felt it. I felt like screaming out loud and wanting to punch everything around me. That's how frustrated I was for Sunday. Probably not a great comparison, but it's the only one that's coming to my mind, and it's also the one I kept thinking about when I was reading the second half of this book. But if you have seen the film Rosemary's Baby, the things that happen to her in the second half of that film, that tension, that build, equal to what I was feeling in the second half of this book. Of course, in Rosemary's Baby, it's more of a horror tension, and in this, it's more of just an anger, frustration kind of tension. But I really liked it. I really like the writing style in this one. There are some utterly wonderful moments within it. For the most part, though, it keeps things really simple, really well measured all the way through. This book also has a good amount of humour within it as well, and I thought that was equally well measured and balanced throughout. What didn't I like? Well, the plot, as you could probably work out from the blurb, is so utterly predictable. It was painful how predictable the plot of this book was. Now, the very end of this book, it does mix things up a little bit, just slightly. I didn't quite predict it, but I figured what was going to happen happened. But I do like that that's where it went. That's what it attempts to do. I understand this is all really cryptic because I can't tell you anything for spoilers. But overall, yeah, everything in this book was very predictable. Every story beat, all of the characters, like Sunday's relationship with her in-laws, you probably imagine that they don't like her very much because of the way that she is, and you would be correct. Her relationship with Vita and Rollo, her relationship with her daughter and the way her daughter starts to act, and her daughter's eventual decisions. All of these things, anyone can predict from the blurb, really. It's just very obvious, and I really dislike this book for it. I wanted it to be worthy of being on a long list, so do something that a 10-year-old couldn't predict. Obviously, I'm joking, just in case anyone takes me too literally. I don't think a 10-year-old could predict the plot of this book, but hopefully you get what I mean. Another thing I didn't like is that all the characters were quite stereotypical. Just not much depth to them. Other than character intent that does shift and swap throughout the novel, really what we get at the start of the novel with our characters is pretty much what we end with. That being said, this could be because we are in Sunday's head. This is the way that she perceives and she sees them, and there isn't much change because we are only being told what Sunday sees. So I am willing to be a little bit lenient in this area, but that doesn't stop me as a reader wanting there to be more depth, a bit more variety or exploration going on. This novel is also quite repetitive. Now, as mentioned, it needs that slow build in order for you to connect to Sunday to sort of grow and get inside her head. I do get that, and that works so beautifully well for what comes later. But I did find myself going, oh, it's another Friday night dinner. Oh, we're just repeating this cycle over. And I do understand that the way Sunday is, that repetition is absolutely needed within her life. That's how she functions. That's what makes her happy. I get that. But just from a reader's perspective, just a tiny bit more variety, just a bit more exploration in her work, maybe, in the farm and the colleague she works with who she does sign language with. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I just wanted there to be a little bit more variety in that first half with that build. I can see a lot of people switching off, a lot of people just not finishing because of that. And I think because everything in the second half is done so well, that is a shame. Overall, the heart of this novel, what it's exploring, is an autistic mother's love for her daughter. And in that sense, this book is extremely successful. It's also extremely successful in that build of frustration and anger it places upon the reader. I'm really quite mixed with this book. There are lots of things that I really, really liked, but also so many that I really didn't like as well. And finally, I don't think I learned anything from this book. It didn't really teach me anything. Everything played out exactly as I expected, and everything it was exploring are things that I already knew as a human being from existing in the world. So yeah, I don't know. From a book, I don't know, what is a book? What do people expect from a book? Here's what I expect. I expect it to teach me something about the world. I expect it to teach me something about humanity, and I expect it to shift my perspective. I expect it to challenge and question what I think are social norms or how I understand the world, to force me to look at the world a little bit differently. That, to me, is a booker book. Those are the books that deserve to be on the Booker long list. And this book, it just didn't do any of those things for me. So yet again, I am falling into a middle rating with this one. I think this book was 3 to 3.5 stars. It is good to very good, but nothing more than that. Right, I'm pretty much doing this for Kieran and maybe one other subscriber. So drink this in, Kieran. This may be the last time I do this, who knows. Let's play Burnham Copperhead. Is this book better than Demon Copperhead and Birnam Wood? No, of course it's not. Don't be a silly Billy. Right, I've only got 3 books left from the Booker long list. However, I am going to take a break from the Booker long list. I've got 2 books coming up that aren't from it just because I need to escape the average fest. And I really need to step away from literary fiction. This channel has had far too much literary fiction recently, and I need to start exploring all the other genres that I love. So as mentioned, I've got 2 books coming up. I've got a crime thriller and I've got a horror. So yeah, they'll be the next 2 books coming up, and then I'll probably get back onto the old Booker long list. So have you read All the Little Bird Hearts? And if so, what did you think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you all on the next one.